Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to Investor Army. My name is Connor Steinberg, and what I'm about to teach you is how owner financing can change your business and why owner financing may be a better option for you as an investor than being a traditional landlord. I'm gonna give you a comparison from both sides looking in. At the end of the video, I'm also gonna give you the reason why you don't want all 100% owner finance notes as a carryback note, but you also want rental properties, especially because where we're at the timing of the market cycle and what happened to a lot of those individuals that had all notes during the last recession. Now, that being said, I'm gonna give you a number of reasons why you see so many investors throughout their career transition from rental properties into owner finance notes. Now, what am I talking about? This is new to you in the first place. So owner financing is essentially being the private bank. Instead of being Bank of America or Wells Fargo, you, the homeowner, is going to owner finance the property that you have currently to someone else to own while you carry back the loan on the property, no different than a bank did. They stop paying you, you take the property back, no different than the bank does with foreclosure. Now, here are some of the reasons why you want to owner finance your properties and not just rent them out. Now, this first case study right here at the top, we're going to assume this house, two different investors, two different scenarios. One is an owner finance investor, is going to sell it for $150,000 with a $15,000 down payment up front. And over here, the landlord is just gonna rent it for $1,500 a month. So think about, right off the bat, which one has more money coming in the account. If you guys understand what money does for you, it gives you control and power. So the more money you have, the more control you have, especially if you have someone else's money as a security deposit as compared to how much you're taking as a down payment when potentially when they go to have to leave the property later, what you can do as far as leverage. We'll talk about that here in a couple points. Now, $15,000 down versus $1,500 as far as deposit. How could this benefit you as an investor? Think about this. This is the most important reason to understand. What happens if you put someone in your property, you think all is well, and 6 months later, you see that they have a dog in the house, the cat in the house that they weren't supposed to have. These kids are little tyrants running around, damaging the property, slamming things to the drywall, and messing up the paint all over the property, and they stop making payments. And now they've stopped making payments for a few months. This is why you want to be an owner finance investor, because a lot of you guys are landlords and know what it's like to have a property for years, have one bad tenant destroy all your cash flow. It's not cash flow unless you keep it. The only thing that matters is net cash flow, not today cash flow. So let's say in a scenario, you have an individual, they damage your carpets, they damage your walls, and all of a sudden you have $5,000 in repairs when they leave, plus 2 months of missed payments. You're still having to make the payment to the bank, right? So let's say you're renting it for $1,500, but you're cash flowing $400 a month, so you owe $1,100 PITI. So now you have over $2,000 in expenses out of your pocket to carry the property. Another $4,000 or $5,000, I guess, would be pretty typical what you're gonna see to get the property back up and stabilized. So you're looking anywhere from $5,000 on the low end, $8,000 on the high end. A lot of times you take a property back that went wrong. Sometimes it's much, much worse than this. Now, you're only protected by $1,500. Does that cover that? No, which means you're coming out of pocket. And what if you didn't get enough cash flow coming in from that property for long enough to actually wash this out? You're now actually going backwards on the investment. Now, what about over here? Say you sell the property, you take $15,000 up front. What does this do? For one, it makes them less likely to damage the property because they believe that they're buying it, which they are. They do own the property, but it's a different type of psychology. Do you take better care of what you own or what you rent? Not always, but the majority of the time you see this. Now, if you have $15,000 down and it's gonna be $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 to stabilize the property, you still have money in your pocket. Also, you still have money that you can bargain with them later as a leverage point if for some reason that's what it gets down to, which we're gonna talk about a couple points from now. Now, second part here, guys, is all the extra profit centers. Let me show you where you can increase your income and why this is so powerful. Number one, that up arrow in CF stands for your increased cash flow. Now, just about every single property I analyze, when I run the relationship between the cash flow I have when I owner finance the property and the cash flow I have when I rent the property, the cash flow on the owner financing side, depending on how it's structured, should almost always cash flow more. Now, it has to depend on a lot of variables, guys. We're not gonna dig in deep into this video. There's other videos on my channel talking about owner financing, owner finance wraps, subject to wraps, all the other strategies that you can use to do this. But I'm telling you, I've done this for a long time. Most of the time, you're gonna create a higher cash flow owner financing. So that's one extra profit center. The second one is your time. Now, I like to talk about time a lot on this channel. So when entrepreneurs are new, the only thing they focus on is how much cash they bring in and the numbers on the front side and revenue. What they're not thinking about is how much time goes into a project. For example, two house flippers both make 20 grand. Which one do you wanna be? Do you want to be the one that bought a quick cosmetic rehab, flipped it and sold it in a couple months, in and out? Or do you want to be the person that had a 1-year project, in and out, nightmares with the city, all sorts of headaches, but you guys both make 20 grand? Net profit has nothing to do with anything except net profit when it's not related to time and stress. But when you relate time and stress into it, two completely different deals. Time is very valuable. When you own or finance a property, guys, you're avoiding a lot of time going down the road. No tenants, no toilets, no termites, no dealing with the property management company, no doing repairs, all sorts of time elimination that you can trade back into your business to go find more deals, to build a better network, to just anything that you want to do with your time, kill maintenance tasks. So the more time you save, when you're equaling out the cash flow or making more cash flow, you're still net increasing your income because you can trade that time savings for more income producing activities. Number 3, repairs. Well, the big reasons that owner finance investors want to do this is because they can owner finance a property that doesn't have to be in as nice a condition as a rental property is to get top of the market rent. A lot of times owner finance investors are owner financing a property to an individual who will fix up the property while they live in it. And if you have to take the property back, you take back a nicer property. Many times I've taken a property back way nicer than the one I gave to them. This is a big value add. You're avoiding a big expense out of pocket up front. In fact, the way I got into owner financing was I had to take back a rental and I didn't have the money to fix it up and nobody wanted to rent it. So I had to owner finance and say, guess what? The HVAC doesn't work. If you want to take this house on, there's some expenses up front, but I'm gonna give you a good deal on it. So you're saving costs up front as well as what happens if that same HVAC goes out 2 years in. Now what happens if you're renting it? There's a $4,000 or $5,000 expense for yourself. But if you're owner financing it and they still like the house, just like if you bought a house from the bank, the HVAC goes out, does the bank pay for that or do you pay for that? That's a cost that you're gonna avoid. And if they fix it up and they put a new roof on there and say 3 years later they default, you have a brand new HVAC, fairly brand new, and a new roof. This is why owner finance investors do this. They have the potential to have repairs added to the property value increased, yet in the same situation of default, they're taking the same property back. So it's an avoidance of repair costs that you can take that capital and cycle it back in the market. Now the last one, similar to what I just said, is you can cycle your dollars back into more deals. Think about that. Take $1,500 down here versus $15,000 up here. Even if you know if things go as bad as they possibly can and you have $10,000 out of pocket, you have $5,000 up front. Most of you should be able to get a deal that you can buy that can make more money. Another flip, another house, another rental, another wholesale deal for $5,000 marketing or less. I know it's getting tougher to generate deals and to turn a return down on your dollar because the market's tight, but you can take the amount of money that you bring on the down payment. Say you sold 10 houses on rentals, that's $150,000 in, even after expenses, that's a lot of money. You have operating capital to run your business, so you can cycle it into more deals. So these are some of the reasons people are owner financing properties, not renting them. Now this one is a big one right here, number 3. So controlling the take back. Guys, it's not if, but guaranteed when you're gonna have to take properties back. So if you like the video so far, guys, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, hit the like button. I appreciate you guys following this channel, help us grow a little bit. But what I wanna talk about right now is when you have to take a property back. Let's say that this individual has been damaging the property and that you only have $1,500 up. What about over here when you have $15,000? What about, let's say, you know they're gonna dig in for a fight, it's gonna be a nasty headache. What happens if you set the expectation up front through what we call framing? You come to buy one of my houses, I say, John, here's the deal. Things go wrong in the future. If something does, I'm pretty cool to work with. You know, sometimes I even let you have part of your down payment back or give you a part of your down payment to move forward to get a rental property, go to your next property. So please take the property, please take good care of the property. Now, the best case scenario, I hope that you keep this property forever and it becomes yours and we never have to deal with this. But if for some reason something happened, the better condition the property is in, the more money I give you back. Now, what I'm doing ahead of time is I'm framing the future expectation that something's gonna go wrong. How do I know? Because everything in the world's gone wrong to me in this business, and I don't wanna take back a trashed out property. Now, if they think they're gonna get behind in payments, which you don't know because you're living your life running around, they may take better care of the property because they think that, for one, they're gonna own it long term and they may figure out how to get out of the situation, but also that they're going to be able to get some of that money back. So it's a leverage point on the control when you take the property back. Now, why would I give money back? Let's say I had to foreclose on them. Very, very expensive. If I'm gonna foreclose on someone and it's gonna be a long, nasty headache, time, stress, remember time and stress on top of not just money, all go into this. Why not give some of that money that I'd spend on taking the property back to them just to have them do what's called deed in lieu of foreclosure or give me the keys back and walk away. They don't have anything to walk away from over here. They have a lot to walk away from over here, but you also have to frame it and say, hey, guess what? I do this for you guys. So you're hopefully freezing them to make sure they keep the property in better condition, if that makes sense. And also, when you give them the money, they're going to be way more peaceful because you have leverage on them. They're less likely to cause problems, or they're more likely to move out quickly if they think they're getting something back. Now, last one right here is it just increases your deal flow. Because you can now do deals because you can play with interest rates like the bank does. You can take on lesser properties and owner finance them to individuals that do value add, work for equity types of plays. So you increase the amount of deals you can close on because you can play in a different arena because you're now in understanding yields and interest rates and amortization calculators, and you understand what it means to be a bank. That's a whole nother video, which we'll put some out, guys, but you can actually take down more properties because you have a better strategy. The last one is, I want to talk about this because there are some negatives because of this. They are self-liquidating portfolios. So if you have 50 of them and you go to sleep and you just keep sleeping, some of them will default. You'll have to take properties back. Some of them will cash out refi you into a lower interest rate. That's a big problem, right? They're at 9.75%. They're going to refinance you down to 4% once they get their credit fixed. And then you're just going to have other headaches like, some of them may just sell the property, right? So it's a self-liquidating portfolio. Over time, they will start to dwindle down, which means you do have to spend more time, energy, and effort refilling that pipeline, putting more deals into the system, I guess you could say, to create the cash flow high. But a lot of people will basically just hand your property back. Then if you want to, you can rent it. Now, the reason why you want to keep some as rentals is because you hold them long-term for equity plays. That's the other reason why owner financing kind of hurts a little bit, is you don't build the long-term equity. Once the cash flow is paid off, that property's gone, self-liquidated. If you have 20, 30 rental properties over the course of your life, start buying houses in your 30s, 40s by retirement age, those are free and clear. It's a nice little equity nest egg, millions of dollars of property that you can retire off of and live a very comfortable retirement, which is, guys, what you're working for. So those are the reasons why you may want to think about this, guys. I hope this helped. I hope this kind of painted the picture. If you're an investor right now renting properties, why you may want to own or finance them. Think about if you have 10 rental properties right now and you're struggling to run your business. What if you sold half of those, 5,000 of them, or five of them for 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 down? That's a lot of money coming back in. Guys, if you like today's video, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you on the next one. Have a good day.